Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, then please do not continue to listen until after you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Guys, we are kind of changing up the types of movies that we cover. This one's going to be kind of an interesting one, at least I think it will be. But before we move on to Bad Ben, what tea are you drinking today, Jess?
Well, I am in the midst of a move, so I grabbed Bigelow's Perfectly Mint tea for its anti-inflammatory and rejuvenative properties. How about you?
I am getting re-addicted to Brutalities, so I went with one of my favorites by them, Lime Bomb, just because it's just... Oh, you haven't tried it yet? It is one of my favorites. Like, it is such... Oh, my favorites. I just like it because it's so simple. It's literally just like oolong and lime flavoring, but it's so tasty. It's like, I do love their other teas, but it's like they have a long ingredient list. Like they have a lot of different flavors and tastes, and those are great. But the fact that they can do a simple tea so well, just love it. But
absolutely, we found one that we didn't like from Brutalities.
Yeah, not so far. I found ones that maybe I didn't like as much as others, but I haven't had anything by them that's bad.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so Bad Ben. I will, in our entertainment scale, I will break down kind of the background of this movie, but for the summary, so this guy buys this home from a sheriff's cell. And he goes in there and he finds out that the people just left the place. Like, all of their stuff is still there. And he's like, what the heck is going on? But he's like, yay for me, because I get to sell all of this stuff. But, you know, as he's going through, really strange stuff starts happening. And initially he thinks it's a break-in. But then he starts figuring out, you know, there's a weird thing buried in the yard. And so he... puts together the pieces and is like, oh, it must be paranormal. He spoke with the people that handled the sheriff's cell, and he found out that the homeowners were brutally murdered in the home. And he's like, why didn't anyone tell me about this? But so he then goes to try and cleanse the place, and it doesn't go so well for him. But the entertainment scale... Before I do my rating, let me just give you a little bit of background about this movie. So this guy, and you guys might, if you've watched the movie, you might have figured this out, but this guy, he just spent $300 making the movie. He made it practically all by himself, and he filmed it in his own home. But what's so funny is, like, he spent $300 and he uploaded it onto Prime Video, so you guys can watch it for free. But Amazon pays him for how many minutes people watch. And so he's made over, I think it's like $110,000 on this movie. Like, really good money back there for just $300 he spent. But, like, this guy, he had dreamed of being a writer. And so I think it's so cool that he was just like, well, if I can't get hired on, I'm just going to make my own dream a reality. Like, yeah, go for it. But this movie, it's got some really wonky dialogue and something that happened that I will get more into in the realism scale. But for me, I have seen movies with bigger budgets that were far worse put together than this movie. And it's just, I can't express how charming this movie is to me. So I am going to rate it a 7 on the entertainment scale for me. How about you?
I would honestly give it a 6.5. like a solid 6.5. It's not quite there for me, but it's still really good. And knowing the backstory does kind of make it better. I feel like you can tell it's like his first attempt at this kind of thing. It was a really well done first attempt.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We've seen bigger budget movies with more cast that just suck. But this one was pretty decent. But his dialogue is a little stiff and feels a little forced in some places.
Yeah.
The effects are okay, but you can tell that he doesn't have much to work with.
Yeah.
He credits 5 people total.
Just to
he credits 3 actual people, and then says this person was my mentor, and thank you to this person for my support.
Yeah.
So he credits 5 people total, and he is the only one you see in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. And some of the things that he did were good. I just feel like a lot of the actual scares were more jump scared. There was a little bit of tension here and there, but it wasn't too much. It was, honestly, we were laughing more than anything.
Yeah.
At most of it. And just picking it apart, just logical.
Yeah.
Logical mindsets, and wondering what's going on with some things that he's not doing.
Yeah.
He says he's gonna flip it and sell it, and he goes in there and he
doesn't really do any of that.
We'll get to a lot of that in the realism.
Yeah.
There are certain things he does that we're just no. This isn't how flipping a house works.
Yeah.
So it's just it kind of puts me out of that a little bit, and it kind of detracts from the entertainment of the movie, in my opinion. But it is fun to watch, especially with friends. But it's not one of those that, oh god, I don't want to sleep after watching this, or I'm gonna watch this again and again and again kind of movies. It's not.
Yeah. From just a found footage type of movie, it's not bad. I have seen worse found footage movies with, like I said, a lot larger of a budget. So it's kind of if 5 were kind of the middle scale, it would be a little bit below a 5. But just some of the dialogue is so awkward and funny, and I love movies like that. But yeah, anyways.
Does it appeal to you because you're also kind of an awkward person?
Oh, shut up. I don't know. I think I can just tell, because I have seen actors are far worse than he is. So it's for the most part, the dialogue, it seems to come out pretty naturally, and it does seem like a very believable story. But then there's just these moments, there's this part where he gets locked out of his house and he's like, fuck my life. Okay, that was kind of an extreme for just your door locking you out of the house, that you just went around the back. And
I mean, I feel like his go-to response, the god damn it, would have been a bit more organic there. Mm-hmm. That seemed almost like he was trying to appeal to a younger audience just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like when older generations go YOLO, and it's just please don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Please don't.
Yeah, this movie, I feel like the entertainment would be is very personal, because I can imagine some people watching this movie and being this is an awful movie, and I can't believe I just wasted my time. But knowing the background does help a lot. But it's even whenever I initially watched the movie a few years ago, I had no idea what the background of it was. I knew it probably wasn't that high of a budget movie, because you only see one guy and he's only using house cameras. But it was charming enough that I thought about the movie, and I kind of got back into it, and I actually ended up watching all 8 Bad Ben movies. Yes, there are 8. But the first one is by far the best. They just get worse and worse and worse, but they get more and more funny to me. But yeah, if you're wanting most serious of a homemade horror movie, then definitely go with the first one. But yeah, I feel like people will either like it or hate it or be like, eh. So, but I personally liked it.
Yeah, most of the issues that I had, as per usual, are from the realism scale, so.
Yeah, if you don't have anything to add, we can move on to realism, because I have a lot to say about realism for sure.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move to that then.
Okay, perfect.
You first.
Yes. Yeah, I only have like 3 points written down for realism, so I'm sure you have far more than I do. Even though the premise of the movie is kind of realistic, how it's like you buy a home from a sheriff's cell and you're going to flip it, like, okay, that's a believable enough scenario. But his reactions are so unrealistic. Because, like, for example, whenever he first thinks that people are breaking into his house, he hears the stuff going on downstairs, and he goes and grabs a wrench to like fight them off. I'm like, I'm sorry. I would first call the police and then, go defend. I don't know. It's like, it wouldn't be my outward reaction to try and find the people and chase them. Because I'm sorry, what if they have a weapon? Like, you have a wrench. A wrench is not going to do that much. And then I'll let you go down a deeper rabbit hole than I am with this. But whenever he finds the garbage bag with potentially some of Ben's blood on the stuff, he's like, first of all, the blood is way too bright. And then also, he's like, oh, I probably shouldn't touch this because this is evidence. And then continues touching it. And then
Well, I feel like that's fairly realistic. Most people are like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Fair. But and then there's also the house flipping thing, but I'll let you get into those details. But as far as my rating goes, there is not much as far as the realism goes for me. So I'm gonna give it a 2. How about you?
I feel like a 2 is a fair assessment, to be perfectly honest.
I couldn't give it a 3. I
can't bring myself to do it. Even just setting aside reality for the supernatural things going on and the screeching pterodactyl maybe in the basement.
Pterodactyl Jersey Devil noises.
Yeah. Which were clearly stock sound bites, but and like the child making cooing noises and all that was definitely stock noises.
Oh yeah.
He did it in a decent way, but you can tell it repeats.
Yeah.
So it's not a legitimate baby being recorded.
As a fellow like audio and video editor though, I do have to admire the fact that he made the stock audio sound like it was coming from the video feed. So kudos definitely for that.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. We've definitely seen a lot worse, so no complaints on that front. But they're just setting aside the realism for that. Just he goes into this thing right off the bat. He's mentioned that he's bought the house as is, with the intention of flipping it and selling it for profit. And he's walking through and seeing the things, and it seems fairly realistic at first, looking at all the stuff. This is weird. They've left all their stuff here. Mm-hmm. That's so odd. I could sell this stuff and make quite a bit on it. And a lot of people with the intention of flipping it and selling it would probably have that mindset of, this is great. This might mitigate some of the costs that I'm going to have to put into the house to update it a little bit and fix it up. So that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a bit more time. But even if he wasn't going to try to sell some of the stuff, if he donated it, it would be a huge write-off. Either way, it's a good thing But most people, when they start on that, they immediately start like cataloging this stuff or putting stuff in different piles or groups or things or making notes, something to let themselves know, okay, this is what I'm going to sell. This is what I'm going to keep. This is what I'm going to donate. This is what I'm going to toss. Like they immediately start going through the checklist and figuring out what they're going to do with everything there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start doing it. He goes through the entire effing movie with not a damn thing moved. All of the stuff is still there. And at one point, when he goes into the attic, he even says, I've cleaned stuff up and thrown a lot of stuff out. But literally everything that he just showed in the previous scene is still there. A thing has changed. Every single box is still there. The old Christmas tree that was just thrown up there, not in a bag, not in a box, nothing, just thrown up there willy-nilly, is still up there. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So, no. Also, he gets there, and I don't know if maybe he's just a very, very trusting person, or if this was just his first time doing this. It kind of seemed a little bit that way. Like he wasn't really used to this whole process of flipping a house and selling it or anything like that. But he gets to the place. He has sunk every penny he has into it, he says. And he doesn't change the locks. I'm sorry. I don't know about you guys, but that's like within the first hour kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me. That's you get to the house and you have the locks changed. Or you change out the doorknobs altogether like we did because they didn't match. Like, you change it some way, shape, or form. So you are the only one with a key.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily know when you buy a house as is. First off, you don't know the state. He got really, really lucky, if that really was the case, with the state of the house being as it was.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you don't know if maybe it was kind of a foreclosure type thing and they were evicted out of the house. You don't know if they up and ditched or if they died in the house or what. You have no way of knowing. But if it is a potential situation where they were evicted, you're gonna want the locks changed. Because you don't want that person with a grudge coming back.
Yeah.
And messing up the investment that you just made.
Yeah.
Because they're ticked off at their situation. No. Then he's over here going through the property and he finally finds the key to the shed, which I'm sorry, again, it's a doorknob. You can take that off. Or worse comes to absolute worse, if you can't like remove the knob very easily, you can drill out the lock and put a new one in there. It's kind of what the locksmith is for. He finds all the stuff. Like you said, he finds the bag. And he keeps touching all the things with the Kool-Aid stains. Blood turns a little brown after a while. Every girl knows this for sure, even if guys don't. Blood turns brown after a while. So he's touching all the things, unsanitary, and you've now contaminated potential evidence. He never calls PD. He mentions that he called PD to walk through when he thought someone was breaking into the house. But he never calls PD when he finds the bag with blood and the box with knives. And he touches everything and brings the knives into the house with him, presumably to wash them and be able to use them. Yes, let's clean evidence off of a potential murder weapon, and then use it for Din.
Well, plus the thought of it like potentially touching human flesh. I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to use that, no matter how much it's been sterilized.
That is a nope knife now, or it is a defend the home knife now. But then he goes and explores more of the property and finds what looks to be a gravesite with a makeshift cross as a marker and a stone that says Ben, and it's a small area with a ring of mushrooms. I don't know if you guys remember one of our previous podcasts, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. A ring of mushrooms signifies a fairy ring. Not good things, and you're not supposed to mess with it. What does he do? He defiles the grave and messes with it and destroys all the mushrooms in the area and calls it a day. Great.
Are you sure those weren't stones, though? Because I know the stones were around they're for sure
Those were mushrooms. It was just the one stone, and those were actual legitimate mushrooms.
I'm pretty sure those were stones, though. Okay.
They were too fluffy.
But, well, and help me. It's like I watched the movie now 3 times. I'm still trying to understand what the heck. I mean, this is probably more towards the entertainment that I didn't add. But it's like it starts off with a solid storyline, but then like the mystery of the house gets a little bit fuzzy. So I know there's some sort of maybe ritual sacrifice, and so the previous owners got murdered. But then what's with like Ben's grave? Like they don't really explain like if he is a part of the sacrifice or was that happening before.
So I'm pretty sure that was good Ben.
Oh,
And he came out as bad Ben.
Okay. Like they lost their child, they buried him, which very weird to bury your child in the backyard. But anyways, and then he almost became zombie Ben. And
the Jersey Devil.
But then what about like the voodoo dolls that they're showing where it almost showed like a ritual sacrifice or some sort of satanic, whatever.
Yeah, it could have been that whoever was doing the ritual, the parents got in the way and they were trying to use the child as the sacrifice. Almost like the Antichrist, trying to kill him to have him rise again as the Jersey Devil. Which you don't find out it's really the Jersey Devil until another movie. So yeah. Spoiler alert there. But he comes back as bad Ben. Roll credits. He finds the basement with the chain, and it was clearly locked. There's evidence of something living down there. And again, doesn't call the police. Doesn't call an exterminator for the smells to try to find if there's maybe an animal carcass or something.
Yeah.
Nothing. He never calls an exterminator. Not ever. He hears thumping noises in the attic and strange smells. And most people, most normal, sane, logical people are like, animal in the attic. Call someone.
Yeah.
He never calls anyone.
I was like, I know he's tight on funds, but there's only so much you can do yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. You can't DIY everything. Like, there's a limit.
Know it. Know your limits.
Yes, definitely.
Fence needed to be stained, too.
But compared to some other things, the fence was in decent shape.
I've seen worse. For sure. No, it's just this movie, like, when he mentions right off the bat that he's planning on flipping it and selling it, when he's walking through, immediately my mind is starting to catalog all the things that he's going to need to change. So I'm looking at the cabinets, the countertops, the flooring, the fence, the yard, how it looks.
Yeah.
The porch and how the railing is and everything. And I'm just sitting here like, is that potential wood rot right there?
Plus, there's like a lot of, whenever he walks on the floor, there's a lot of creaking. So might need to get the foundation checked, make sure that that's all okay and that the wood is in good shape.
The power goes out at one point, and he does finally, at one point, miraculously check the fuse box, the break box, and it doesn't work. So he doesn't call to have like anyone look at it. He doesn't try to call the electric company and see if maybe there's an outage in his area. He clearly has a cell phone with signal.
Because he's filming with it.
These things, yeah, all these things just don't make sense. I also don't understand the phone, the landline that's attached to the door frame on the outside at the front door. I don't know if that's like a northern thing on a really old house or what, if they're like trying to call into the house.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just want to talk outside while they're sitting on their porch, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Down here in Texas, that's some weird shit. And it doesn't make sense to have a phone mounted on your front door frame.
Yeah. And plus, it's like people could use your phone that way. It's like, I don't know.
Or take up your line. What if there's a strong enough gust of wind and it knocks the receiver off of the thing?
That's true. Yeah, I've never heard
the landline out.
I've never heard of that. If you know anyone or have heard of having a phone like mounted to the outside of your house, let us know, because like I could imagine like an intercom system.
Yeah, I've seen intercom buttons and things like that.
But a phone?
Not a phone. Not a phone. So it just, little things like that, the entire movie just doesn't make that much sense. It felt almost like he couldn't really decide exactly how he wanted it to be, and making little changes here and there.
Yeah.
So not all of it added up quite right.
Yeah, like I feel like the best way to create a solid story is to have an overarching idea and then start working out the little gritty details to get you through that storyline, but then try and break it. Try and do whatever you can to try and break that, and that will give you a very solid storyline as far as like realism goes. It's like, of course, if you're doing a fantasy thing, you don't need to make it that realistic, but it's like a lot of these found footage movies or these paranormal movies, they're trying to come off as realistic as possible, aside from the paranormal stuff, which I know some people believe in. So it's like, if you're trying to make it immersive, then try and break your own logic. And then that way you can find roundabouts on what you need to change to make it as solid as possible.
But I mean, otherwise, again, for like a first attempt on a really low budget, this is a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have used my actual address.
Yeah, like he doesn't state his address, but he states the road he's on. And I'm not going to tell you guys how I found the house, but I found the house. It wasn't. And I'm like, this guy is a very brave soul to just like have his essentially like tell his address, because it literally took me like maybe 5 minutes to find the house.
Maybe it was a passing notion and she found it like that.
Yeah, but I know how to dive deep into the interwebs. So it's like I could understand if someone that wasn't like super familiar with the internet may have a little bit more difficulty, but that's why I am not going to describe how I located the house. And I would encourage anyone who wants to find it to not do so, unless if it's just for funsies and it's not, no ill intent here.
Anything,
don't go visit him. I mean, he has on some interviews, he's talked about people like coming by and like visiting and taking pictures in front of the house, but I'm sorry. It's like, I understand that he filmed at his actual house, but that's a breach of privacy, and everyone deserves privacy.
Don't be creepy.
Yeah, please don't be creepy. Even like me trying to find the house was already kind of crossing the line, but it's like, I needed to find out because he kept saying the road name. I'm like, okay, I need to find out if this is like legit or if he just like passed by road, because Jess is over here like, oh, I think he just thought of a road or found a random road.
Logically, like, you would use a random road may be nearby, but not necessarily your actual road.
And I'm over here suspecting,
Wrong.
being like, I bet he used his actual road name. And yep, sure did. Sure did.
I don't know if he just didn't think it would blow up as big as it did or what, but maybe next time, dude, don't use your actual street name.
Yeah. But anyways.
But yeah, what did you guys think of this movie? Please let us know in the comments or send us a message. Please share this on social media. Give it a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any other suggestions for movies or recommendations, please let us know as well. Do you have anything else, Alyssa?
The only thing I want to add is the fact that he did as well as he did just shows that you don't have to have a large budget to have a really good movie or a decent movie. So if there's any, people that are wanting to become a writer or director or whatever, just do it yourself. There are so many resources on the internet that give you the tools that you need to at least get a head start. And then from there, it's just refining your craft. Like this guy, I watch all of the movies, and I love people that try and pursue their passion despite society trying to hold them back. Like in this case, I don't remember if I mentioned before, but he was trying to become a writer. Like it was his passion. He wanted to become a writer, but just it wasn't going anywhere. And so he's like, screw it, I'm just gonna make my own movie. And he freaking did it. And he was pretty decently successful, I gotta say. So yeah, just pursue your passions. Do it smartly, but pursue your passions.
Safely.
Yes.
Please. But as always, guys, until the next time, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye, guys.